Hello, and welcome back to the Talk No One Talks About. This is the very last episode for this season where we've discussed menstrual health and dignity, shame, sex, pleasure, hygiene, sanitary products, religion, culture, and everything that influences how we perceive and interact with menstruation. Now, I'm here for the very last episode of the season. And as you know, or as you've seen, I've not done this alone. I have two very exciting guests here with me. I'm going to move the camera to them so they talk about themselves. Tell me your name and what you do. Before that, we're discussing period equity. Today, we're talking what would a totally perfect period open society look like. So yeah, throwing the questions in now for my guests. Please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Okay. I wouldn't say well done, Faye. It's
Thank
been
you.
really bloody.
It has. Blood for blood. We've been going.
That's really cool. I really like this topic. My name is Jemima.
Yes.
Jemima Yaundo. I am a media and
A
communications.
celebrity.
Oh, please. I am a media and communications person. One of the things that I love about this conversation is, especially as a communications person, it is putting light to truly the talk that no one talks about. It's very, very important. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you for gracing us with your very honorable presence.
You're welcome.
Okay, Eunice, tell us.
Okay, thank you so much.
Another celebrity, by the way.
Please. Okay, so hi, my name is Eunice Thompson, pronounced as she, her. I'm a lawyer, I'm a learner, I'm a community organizer, and I'm a gender advocate for women.
So people
really
also call
excited
you
to be
Unice. I've learned
Unice,
now.
yes.
People also call her Panini Baby. I
Panini
do.
baby, yes.
I call her Panini Esquire. Quite love that.
Oh, that's a nice one.
So let's get rolling. What would a truly period positive world look like for you?
So I'm going to start with a story.
Hmm.
The first time I wrote Jam, I think I was 13 years old, at least 12 going to 13 years old. And while I was in the hall, it was very, very difficult for me. I felt so sick, very ill. Never had my period before, by the way. And I kept feeling nauseous and I kept feeling severe pain in my pelvis area. And I'm just wondering what was going on. So I had to lay down my head and sleep for a bit. And by the time I woke up, the entire jam was done. So when my
So you
results
didn't
came
write
out,
it at all?
I did,
Oh, okay.
right? But when my results came out, it was 180 something. And this is me with an elder sister who was having 260 something at the time. So you can imagine the kind of pressure that was. But then when my dad and every other person was asking me, why didn't you finish? Or why did you get this score? I'm sorry, when you are a graced child and who is always passing exams, everybody was surprised, why didn't you pass this? I couldn't tell them I was having period. I was actually feeling very ashamed to say that I was on my period during the exam, and that's why I couldn't.
And that it affected you
Yes,
so
and
much.
it affected me that I couldn't write the exam because that was the first time I was ever experiencing that kind of severe discomfort. So the first thing I would say that for a truly equitable world when it comes to period and period conversations, stop those so fresh adverts. Please, let us, women who are on their period are not jumping excitedly. Let us be very realistic with the conversations that we're having about periods. Let us stop saying, when we started learning about periods while we were in secondary school, they separated the boys from the girls. And my attention span is not so great. So I actually did not really learn about periods in school because of how the conversations were going. Why don't boys know about periods like girls do? Because it is a human experience. Boys do not have to bleed for them to know what periods are about.
They're also in society.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we should have honest conversations and break away from period shame and think that it's a gendered issue. One of the things I did when I was in university, when I started living alone, was that I used to put the pad on top the dining table. Yes, everybody should be able to experience it with me.
Yes.
Yes, because
It's in your
women
face.
used to hide pads. They used to call it various names. They don't even used to call period. They'd be saying things like, I'm on.
Right?
I'm on my flow.
touch lights.
Right?
There's something oh God, there's this thing, something has come. The woman,
Yes, the one in red.
woman in red.
Oh my goodness, my monthly visitor. Okay,
monthly
meeting.
visitor.
Please, and I think
Wow,
that
we've been through
all
traumatic
of these,
phases.
exactly, all of these conversations, all of these what's the word? The names that we use to mask periods. They contribute to the shame that we experience when having conversations about periods. And I think that we also need to drop those as well.
I love that she touched on the fact that we need to have more conversations around it, and not just the fact that we're having these conversations, but let it be like the everyday conversations that we have. Like we're talking about, maybe periods should be something that people talk about every single time, right? Same way you can talk about Lagos traffic, same way you can talk about rice and stew, same way you can talk about anything.
Exactly.
Like, it should be something that people feel comfortable. Girls can speak about it at home and in school. I remember, and even drawing from like your example of when you were in school, I remember the very first advert I saw. I think we had an Always advert, right? Always had an advert where young girls in school would be so excited and be jumping about pad. I think that was the only period positive like advert I have seen on media. And I'm not even going to
lie, I took it in good faith. I liked it. It made me not be so gloomy every time.
About pads, right? And about periods.
And I felt so strange. Like, those girls are dancing. Why am I not dancing? Like, I don't dance. Maybe in adulthood now that I've been able to see all that.
So I think that's the beauty of having like a balance of stories, right?
Right.
All these stories exist. Like, I've had a guest on this podcast, on this season of the podcast, who was so period positive.
I can't wait to watch that.
Oh my God. I've had a lot of guests. You should watch all of them. I had this guest who was so period positive. She gets excited on her period. She's like, my godly face is here. At some point I was like, okay. Everybody else was like, cool. Okay, we need to tap into that.
I'm telling you.
So like, it gave me perspective on the people who are so jumpy. I am jumpy though on the last day, because like, oh, this is done. I'm excited. I'm dancing. I'm happy because now I don't have to deal with this anymore, right?
Yeah.
But like, it was so, sometimes we are so clouded with our own personal experiences. We forget that everybody experiences stuff differently.
Okay, so I think that for us to have a truly period positive world, just like we've been having a conversation the entire time, it's also for us to change the societal attitudes around how we have these conversations and the way we carry ourselves into spaces, particularly at offices or in workplaces, having access to resources and information that can help women and other people who menstruate.
Thank you very much, Eunice, for bringing that out, because a lot of times I find that, or we find, right, when we now start unlearning, right, during this process, we now find that, even outside of women, right, you mentioned other people who see periods, like there are over 40 variations of intersex people have come to learn now on the podcast. Yeah, you should watch our episodes. They're so engaging and educative and informative.
That's quite interesting.
So they're non-binary people. They're non-binary people who have period experiences. They're trans men who have period experiences. So when we keep having these conversations and we frame them, we say, women and girls. We put other people outside and they're the outskirts of this. So like a truly period positive world, right, would be a world where we start with our languages and we're more open to accepting and creating safe spaces for everyone who sees periods.
That's fantastic. I quite like that.
So how would you say, given all of this, how would you say that we can move from hygiene-centered conversations regarding periods to dignity-centered conversations?
Very, very important. I think that, first of all, I need to talk about how that Cardi B tweet where she had spoken about when she menstruates, she doesn't smell, this, that, those kind of things.
I didn't see
put
that.
Shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. No,
Cardi. So here's the thing, right? I love Cardi.
Yeah.
And
I do
and
too.
I'm sorry, the feminists came for her. But here's the thing. Really, you know that we have discussed here that people will have diverse experiences for periods, right?
True.
And when we talk about period inclusion, when we tell people like that to say, shut up, we're not talking about you, then are we really having all the conversations? Are we really creating the space for everyone?
I would just have to interrupt there and say that was actually not how the conversation went on.
Okay.
So Cardi B, in attempt to shame another woman was talking about how neat she was during her periods. I want us to recognize that it is blood. Blood is smelling.
Was she?
Yeah. She made a tweet saying that during her period,
She talked about no, she talked about her relationship with her body. She said she had she said she had tiny feet. Like she had tiny feet. She keeps her coochie. Yeah, she keeps her have tiny feet too. No shade to people who don't. I want big feet. I want to be big. As a matter of fact, I'm just sadly the tiniest person you will meet. That's beside the point. She talks about that. She talked about how she keeps her coochie clean and all of that. So I'm saying, right, there'll always be people like that, right? In the same way that there'll always be extra period positive people.
And I just have to interrupt again. Khadija clearly stated that her period does not smell. That's where I'm coming from. If we're going to be having conversations on hygiene when it comes to period or smell, because she tries to portray herself as a very feminine, very neat person. Which is not a bad thing. But to make it seem like those who have periods that smell are doing something wrong is actually quite a little of an issue. Given that there are women who menstruate in areas where there are no water. Now, it is not your problem. It is the government's problem to not provide water in your various environments. And I think that is a very important conversation that we should be having. So people's experience
we've had those conversations on the other episodes.
To be honest. But I just want to say that people experience period and they are so ashamed. And they're like, are you perceiving any smell? Are you my sister in Christ is blood.
Yeah.
If you go to abattoir, it does not smell like roses. There's a reason.
So yes, I get it.
Yeah, and you should also consider that the reason for the backlash is because that's a very common response. Like that's the majority of what a lot of people would say, like try to present periods like, oh, I'm hygiene conscious, I'm neat. Even the communication we get around it, even when we're in school, the way they taught it was always that, oh, you should be clean, you should wash your this thing, you should not wear more than 2 pads a day. Like it was always taught in the context of hygiene, right?
Yes.
Meanwhile, like she's saying, that's not always the case for a lot of people.
Yeah. So how can we discuss hygiene and dignity? Because hear me out. Please hear me out. We've had this conversation, and again, I've said I've had like 9 other conversations on periods, right? And as someone who actively sees her period, right, I also have my own personal experiences. And like it or not, oh God, the olfactory woman comes in again. There are people who have like relationships with smell.
Yeah.
If you remember, say 1 hour ago, I was losing my shit in this studio because I could smell period blood. Right? You remember?
Yeah.
Because again, I like to bring personal stories. Again, because of the relationship that I have with smell. And now it's not coming from a bad place where I'm like, oh, that's so bad or whatever. I'm just very sensitive. I can hear, I can stay here and I'm cooking and I know when my rice is done from the smell. Right? I know when my water is boiling. I can smell boiling water. It doesn't have flavor or anything. It's just, I have that relationship with smell. And it's not just in a good way or in a bad way. It's just in a way that exists.
So,
right? And
so are you saying that when like you're considering what in the context of Cardi B now, when you speak about it, like it's coming from your own personal experience, like you're not necessarily talking about it in a way to shame all that.
Exactly. So now that's the part that I did not get before. So when I saw the backlash, I was like, okay, we are trying to have all the conversations. Again, all the conversations will not be comfortable for everyone to hear.
Truly.
Right? Especially if we have, again, there's a literacy gap. Yes. Everybody will not know as much as I know. I will not know as much as everyone knows, right? So yeah, there are conversations that will be exciting for me or for people who do not know as much as I know. And I can't look at people like that and say, oh, don't have those conversations because we're having this conversation at the top. Do you understand where I'm coming from? My point was how I felt. Again, I like to exclude myself from social media drags sometimes. And even, and this with a lot of things, homophobia, transphobia. When these things come up, I'm tired. Right? If you've been active on like the social media space, you know that you fight, you talk, you drag people, and then at some point you just tired. You are just tired. It's kind of like a burnout. And then when you come online and you see these things, you don't even know where to begin. You're like, okay. But then you see people who are at the stage where they are not tired. They are in their act. They're out there. So they're fighting and you're like, oh, thank God, thank God, because I'm too busy. I'm too exhausted in my personal life now. I don't have energy to fight. Do you understand? So when that happens, I'm not always going back to see, what was the I didn't know that it was to shame someone else,
Yes,
right?
it was.
I saw the tweet. I was like, oh, small feet, coochie clean, this and that. And then everyone's like, oh, talking small feet on. Oh, yes, there was this discourse. Why are we bringing Kadi here? There was this discourse about, the things that she pointed at, things that the patriarchy uses to feminize women or to shame women who don't have those features. And I get, but there are actual women who exist with those features. And the thing about being a woman or being a person is you want to pick the things that you have that you want to feel good about. It's not in a way, or sometimes, of course, there are very silly people out there who do that in a way to shame other people. But right, we can have the conversation where it's like, oh, that's your thing, and that's cool for you. But that's not the reality of everyone. And I'm sure that if we sit back and actually sit these people down, they will say, oh yeah, my reality is different from everyone else's.
That's very true.
So I think that what I wanted to get out of this conversation, especially with this question, is how we can do it. Is how we can carry hygiene and dignity together. Because we cannot entirely discard the hygiene conversation.
Obviously.
And here's why. Because if we practice periods or like period experiences without the hygiene, it also have damaging effect on you. Like a lot of people do not know that medically or hygienically, or let me not say hygiene, medically, you're not supposed to wear your pads for more than 4 hours because the dead blood cells now trickle upstairs. Now, if we discard the entire period hygiene conversation and say, throw it all in the trash, we're now misinforming people. So how do we do that? How do we say, we're not saying don't look out for this, right?
But this is
look out for this, but like carry yourself and embrace yourself. Like there's nothing wrong with you. And even if you've not been someone who was experiencing period like in this light, this is how you can now experience. Don't shame yourself for it, right?
True.
It's a learning. We are all life is a learning curve, right? How do we do that?
I think that like I said earlier, see, there's something about language that is a heavy point of call in how we speak about periods.
I always say this. It's not just periods, it's with everything.
Yes, like languaging is such an important communications. That's why I really love my job, by the way. It intersects a lot of things. Communications and language is very important in how we frame the narratives that concern a lot of things. And how can we experience periods with dignity? When women get stained outside, it's like, you don't know your period is coming. It's like the whole
exactly.
reaction.
There's a lot of shame around it.
I recently traveled with my colleague who was having period on the flight, very, very long ass flight. And I noticed that all the women there who noticed that she was doing period related issues, if you see the way they ignored
older women,
they didn't make it seem like it was a special scenario. What do you need? How can I help you with this? And it was just that. Right? And it just allowed other women I felt like it was a place where I could have even asked a period related question and 70,000 answers would have come out of that. Because of how those women related to it were very open about the conversation. The shame of period is such a heavy weight. There are various buckets of shame that we use, like the hygiene part of it. How do you discuss with young people? I think it's how we explain it to them. What we tell them periods are about, right? And how we also let boys as well, because one of the things I've noticed is that especially with men or with a variation of men, they do not really know much about periods aside trans men who by the virtue of their experience are able to have this experience already behind them, lived experiences. They would not also be able to, this now that they're contributing to the conversation. That's why I'm really keen on the trans men episode of the podcast because it's a huge angle that we have not seen it from. So I think that languaging is very important in how we give dignity back to periods. I'm on. You're on your period there.
Yeah.
And it's an okay thing.
What was that?
It's a fantastic thing. Not the red
I'm on my flow.
Here. I'm on my flow, please. Auntie from 1970s, stop it.
Yeah. Has anyone watched?
I wish I've been women now.
No, the language of the
I
past.
get it.
Has anyone watched Turning Red yet?
No.
Turning Red.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Disney
period
movie.
Oh, I love it.
It's a Disney
so
movie.
much.
Watch Turning Red.
Fantastic
You
animation.
see the storytelling, you see the animation. So why I brought it in is because we need more stories like that. Telling stories.
And it had backlash.
And we need all stories.
It had terrible backlash. Yes. It was a fantastic adolescent movie to help people learn about periods and the various things that can happen when they experience their periods. Backlash. That's period shame.
So backlash is always going to come. As
Backlash
I've learned.
always come.
We can only embrace it.
You can only embrace
Because are they gonna come to your house to beat you?
possibly,
No.
but
So talking about like dignity, right? I think that if we have more stories told in a way that is not shameful,
fantastic.
that can help
True.
a lot of young people like growing up witnessing that, and even us like as when people who menstruate, if we're having the conversations like say Cardi, for example, I don't know why I keep going back to her, but I'm saying like she
She's a
has a
gorgeous
huge
girl.
platform, right? It
Yes.
brought a lot of backlash because there are a lot of young girls who look up to her, there are a lot of people who listen to her, right?
But people
So-
also forget where she's coming from.
Yeah, people also forget, but I'm saying that if you have that kind of platform as a woman and you're having those conversations in a way that moves it in a more dignifying way rather than a shameful way,
exactly.
that way you have a larger impact on other people.
Exactly.
So here's the thing, right?
Mhm.
Let's bring her again. Because like it or not,
I'm
she's one
so
of the
sorry.
most practical people.
Yeah.
I don't even
True.
think she'll be upset by this.
Yeah.
That's how practical she is. She says stuff and then people come for her and she deletes. She's probably the celebrity that deletes with the most deleted tweets, right? So I'm saying sometimes we forget that people are coming from somewhere. She does not have the literacy level that you
that's
have,
true.
right? She does not have the advocacy level that you
True.
have, right?
True.
So she is experiencing life and navigating and communicating with people in the
The
way
way
that she
she-
can, in the
exactly.
way that she feels is great. Now, when people react to her, she learns. And then she goes, or sometimes she's even ashamed. She goes and
Yeah.
she deletes it, or she comes back. And because she's again, that's a very ratchet babe. I love her. I'm ratchet too. So that's a very, you understand? I'm saying this and I'm saying this to point out how she communicates or how she puts her thoughts across. Because sometimes she's upset. Sometimes people come for her kids and she reacts. She goes
See, serious
rogue.
cardiac is
She
right
just,
here.
she's just insane. And I love her for it. Sometimes I see her deleted tweet. I was like, girl, you should have stood by it. People should know. And when people react to her, I give her the grace that Cardi did not have the educational experience that a lot of, in short, after fame, she started to want to grow. She started to go to school, study, do law and all of that. And we need to learn that, or we need to look at people and see, oh, this is where you're coming
This is
from.
where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That's what
And given
influences
where
your
you're coming
story.
from, I should not attack you the way I would attack someone like me, right? Someone who has spent years being conscious of like the patriarchal system. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So when I see these conversations, that's my reaction. It's like,
Yeah.
when we do this, what are we really saying? We're just putting a divide, and in a way that if people now naturally do not want to learn, their
Yeah.
reaction is to be defensive.
To be
Yeah.
defensive
Yes.
I just
to
want
run
to
away
say
from
that
the
as someone
conversation.
who does a lot of work in digital
communications,
space,
yeah.
not just communication, digital space, digital rights. One of the things that I would categorically say is that the internet is very dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's an outlet for most people,
Yeah.
right? So while you might have, I don't contribute to internet conversations anymore because
Same here.
social media
Same here.
conversations, because I like what
you
am I
don't?
feeding into, and it's
Ah,
very
let's do
important
see
for
on
us to learn about that, right?
Mhm.
So the internet is not a space where people are at the back here thinking everybody's driving engagements.
Mhm.
So when people are when people are
especially now
reacting,
with Elon's money.
I'm telling you, everybody's
Yes, some
is
people
engagements
are
at their
using
farming
it to
engagement.
vent different like
There's
ways
a
that people are
whole
using it.
part of the internet that is a psychological weapon, and we need to recognize that. People
Yes.
will not give grace
That's a
because
whole other
that's a
story
whole
for
other.
another
I'm
day.
telling you,
Oh yeah,
It's
of
a whole
course,
other
of
arm,
course.
but-
I like to tell people when I have like learning conversations like this, it's
Mm.
like, oh, we are having this conversation. There are millions of people who are not, right?
Truly.
And what I'm saying is, as we are having, I've learned a lot
Truly.
from you, and I like that communication is like give and take.
Truly, yeah.
Do you understand?
You're
Because
learning,
like it or
you're
not,
also
learning.
I sit back sometimes and I'm like, I might say that I've always had like consciousness and being like a radical person most of the time. But I also know that there were times where I did not know jack
of the
about
things,
certain things.
true.
And I was probably loud and wrong too.
My favorite.
because when you are a loud person, you are
Yeah.
loud. You don't even know that you are wrong yet.
Yeah, truly.
But like the grace is sitting back with yourself and be like, I got that
What did I
wrong.
do that
Yeah, I
wasn't
could have done
And
that.
I also think that particularly it's a reflection of how we like to treat other people. Because if you're someone who likes to look at other humans with dignity and respect for themselves and their experiences and their journeys and their lives, you don't participate in anything right? That would be harmful.
Obvious.
Yeah, to them. So then most of the time it starts with stepping back because I'm like, okay, maybe let me sit back first with my own
Opinions.
Yes, with my own experience. Of course, it's a lot being a woman in Nigeria, a Nigerian woman, do you understand? And all of that. So, but then there are times when I've learned to take the back seat, right? I've learned to just sit back and listen to people who are more minorities than myself, right? Because we're not at the end of the yeah.
Truly.
So I think my next question is why is menstrual dignity a feminist issue?
So I'll do you want to start? Well, I just want to say, as a feminist, yes, I told somebody, I was talking to somebody in Ikeke, and the guy said, "Are you a feminist?" And I'm like, "Yes." And the man in front just turned and looked at me. I'm like, "Well, you're looking at a unicorn, a Nigerian feminist." So, as a feminist, one of the things that we fight for is equality. There's a lot of things that period has held us back from that we barely know.
Yeah.
You know that when it comes to hiring, there's a consideration of when you're on your period now, you will not be tired. You will not be sick. You say you don't want to work. It makes it easy to hire men.
Yes.
That's one thing.
Especially like in a lot of fields.
Yes.
They don't even consider women at all.
They don't even hear you when you maybe, I don't say react, but when you engage in certain conversations and have a certain perspective, or that day, you're just literally just not having it. Are you on your period? Is it the day? And I think that's one of the reasons that's where feminism comes in, right? In the fight for equal access, especially to resources and to policies that recognize things that affect women, periods are very important to have. One of the fantastic things about where I work, Techcar, is that we have a period policy. Yes, we have a 2 to 1 day period policy where if on your first day of your period, recognizing how heavy and exhausting the experience is, you could take 1 day, just work from home if you really must work. And I think that is a step. If I did not have a feminist boss who recognizes that period is an important thing that women go through, we would not have had a policy that recognizes this experience for women. We have pads in all the restrooms in our organization. This is literally a component of our toiletries, right? And I think that this is a conversation that more feminists should have when they are in power. What do you do to influence the conversations, the things that we are speaking about? Beyond speaking, having policies that reflect the experiences of women, aside maternity leave, what else can you do for people who menstruate? If the boss in the organizations you work at is not feminist or recognizing feminist experiences, because I promise you
suffer for it.
Yes, other people will get to suffer from that experience. And if feminists are pushing for equal access to resources for women, are pushing for women to be employed in various sectors, it's also important for them to understand and recognize that like periods affect us in important ways. While there are other people who menstruate and might not bleed, I'm very sure they go through the hormonal process of what period feels like.
Because it's the hormones that brings us there in the first place.
And if they have to go through that, we need to be able to understand and recognize that these hormones, they are not things that weaken us or fail us, but they are part of the experience that builds us to be better people and experience life without discomfort. Because must I die from pelvic pain before we sign that contract?
I love the tone.
Is it really necessary?
It's not. It's not necessary at all. Something you just said reminded me in one of the episodes where I learned that amongst those variations of intersex people, there are people who do not have necessarily have like a formed vagina or vulva, and they do see their periods externally. And then the way that sanitary products are designed, they are designed solely for vaginas.
Exactly. And this is why periods are feminist.
And this was a doctor having this conversation, and this doctor was like, "Oh, you have no idea." And she was a Muslim doctor.
Wow.
A cis-het Muslim doctor. And she was like, "You have no idea how many times people come into my office and at first they feel like, oh, I'm going to have this kind of reaction, so they don't open up. And then when I make them feel safe enough, they tell me their experience. And these are people that would absolutely never have period conversations outside because of how people will react to them.
Truly.
Yeah. My own response to that question would be, why shouldn't it be a feminist issue? I mean, who else is going to speak up
Tall.
about
Speak on it.
who is going to speak on period conversations if not feminists, right? Feminists are at the forefront of dismantling the patriarchy. So, and the patriarchy itself upholds period shame.
Truly.
It upholds all of the things that makes it difficult for people to have these conversations. So we should actually be at the forefront of that conversations. We should be the ones pushing for change, pushing for the right actions that should be taken, particularly by our leaders and our government and people who are in positions of power.
Truly.
So it is a feminist issue because there's literally no one else to talk about it.
I like that conclusion. It's a feminist issue because if we don't speak on it,
nobody else can talk about it.
I also like to approach things in a little more cunning way, where I say it's everybody's issue. I mean, I like to say that I think I like to say a lot that bigotry is very stupid. And with stupid stuff, or with all stupid stuff, they can very much be manipulated. Right? So let's tell everyone, even the patriarchy, it's a patriarchal issue too, because if people don't have proper period experience, they will not have children for you. How about that? How about that? What are you gonna do about that? Now, you want a hair. You want do you understand? So and I said
about that. What people wanting is
no, because if you want to manipulate people, if you want to take people by, you have to use their language. You have to use what's important to them,
truly,
right?
Yes,
and I learned that when I navigate, like when I go to again, I've done like my fair share of social work. I'm a UNICEF trade advocate. That means I've had to work with like different kinds of people. And then when you go to communities and when you go to rural areas, you're talking to people. You're not always using bogus terms. You're not even using political correct terms. You're using terms that they relate to. You're using terms that make them comfortable enough to engage, to now talk, to now share their experience, because it's one thing to understand you and keep you at a pace. They're going to be like, okay, that's a feminist issue. Now then, Sabi. Right? True. But it's another thing to relate to them in a way that they now realize that, oh, not be them Sabi, my daughter for house Sabi, my sister for house Sabi. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Because again, this is a big burden, and this is a burden that feminists have taken on themselves, on ourselves for decades, right? I've been out there in communities, going to schools, giving pads, carrying nurses with me to talk to students. And again, I do that and I don't even take the boys out. The boys are there. Sometimes they say, oh, I have a sister. Can I have pad? I will give you the pad. Exactly. Go and give it to your sister. And even if you don't have a sister that you were just excited or you're just curious and you wanted to see, go and see. You will not see more than one. You will have 6, 7 others left. Somebody will need pad and you will give it to them.
Give them, exactly.
Right? So I'm just saying, I love this discussion so much. I love how you people are bringing me in.
I really like your conclusion. It really starts with us.
It starts with us, but it doesn't have to end with us.
Exactly. If we had people who thought like this, who had conversations like this years ago, boys would not be asking the questions on period.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that we're having conversations like this with amazing people like you, because now we're moving things steps further, and then more conversations can build on our shoulders.
Exactly. True.
Now, this is something that I was going to arrive at, right? When I say it's more than a feminist issue, it's an everybody issue. It's also a government issue.
Truly.
It's also a government issue because, again, NGOs, feminist-led NGOs, have been doing the work that the government should be doing.
Without proper funding.
Yes. And without proper, they're just doing. Right?
Yeah.
And what would you say, or how would you say the government can go about this? What is the role the government, they know their role.
I just want to say that.
Can we curse out the government?
Yes, please.
Nigerian government.
Please don't curse them out or beg them. Like I said, when you talk to people, you have to talk them.
NBC is watching.
You have to talk to them in a language that they will now not
understand. But I would ask this. Nigerian government, we hold the blood in our hands.
Yes,
because what do you mean? A pad is. You know how much part costs?
These are how much basic things.
How much is what's that money they usually pay? The minimum wage?
How much is the minimum
That's how you know you are with rich baddies and celebrities. She just tried to remember minimum wage. Can you imagine? Can you relate?
How much is minimum wage? And then there are people who, God help those people who bleed 8 days 12 days.
I used to be them.
I really thank God for my very small period, and that has allowed me to financially experience the process without dying.
Do you understand?
But-
and it's so difficult for even people who work, because sometimes you don't have salary. Let's say you're a business person. Sometimes your business is not. You understand? So how much more for the people who don't have or who don't earn enough?
Government needs to look at the tax on pads.
They need to
Tax
make it
on
free.
tampons. They have these particular products when they come in, they're usually taxed. But they are important products. They are essential products. It's just like placing a tax on water. I know that the Nigerian government has that somewhere. But we need to recognize that currently we are in a financial climate that makes it very difficult for people to afford things. Right? And people experience periods in horrible, terrible ways. And the financial capacity to go through this experience with dignity is quite difficult. The tax on periods, on pads are outrageous.
Yeah, they are.
Government's health awareness programs on ensuring that people who are in areas where they have low water can be able to use pads, or at least the cups, the reusable cups. What are they doing about that? What is the National Accreditation Agency doing doing to orient people on the best period products to use to help you? People who stay in areas without water, how can you what is the best period product that you should be using, right? Release,
and it's not a one cap fits all.
it is not.
It's
It
not
is
at
not.
all.
So
It's
while
not.
I am freaking out about reusable cups, there are other things that can be done to be able to fix or at least mediate the issue.
Yes.
Or give dignity to the people that experience period. That's the least that you can do. Remove money for us, please. Nigerian government, remove money. Come out money on tax. Pads are essential products.
You know that
Look
meme
at
where
it.
the person is like,